Welcome to the December 14th meeting of the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville. For our Zoom members, we are happy you can join us. Please remember to mute yourself and submit any questions via chat or unmute yourself and ask your question. Once again, welcome. Let's see. Special thank you today to Mike Dara and Brandy from Theater Jacks for their songs of the season before today's meeting. And you concluded with my favorite religious Christmas song, Santa Baby. But the prayer and pledge today will be given by past President Dean Scott.
God first, then country today. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the mild weather outside, as we know others reel from deadly storms. Heavenly Father, thank you for the food we enjoy today, as we know others are less nourished. Heavenly Father, thank you for this community of people, as we know others have less support. Heavenly Father, thank you for our freedoms, as we know others are suppressed. And Heavenly Father, thank you for our gifts, which we pledge to use in the service of others. For these and for our many other blessings, we are humbled. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, President Dean. Family time with Christy King.
Okay, since we'll be off the normal schedule for the next few weeks, including birthdays and anniversaries through the end of the year. So starting with birthdays, John Carlo is celebrating his birthday tomorrow on December 18th, and Stephen Jones is celebrating his birthday on December 29th. For wedding anniversaries, George Armstrong and his wife Kay are celebrating their 60th anniversary on December 17th. Vixen, Betty, and his wife Pam are celebrating their 37th anniversary on December 19th. William Harrell and his wife Barbara are celebrating their 56th anniversary on December 28th. And Hal Kelly and his wife Rita are celebrating their anniversary on December 30th. Maria O'Keefe is also celebrating 6 years as a Rotarian on December 15th. That's it for our family of Rotary today.
Thank you. And I'm pleased to introduce Ron Patrick, who will give us a crap talk today. Ron?
No idea. Well, wow. Okay. How about that? Okay, here we go. So, 3 minutes. I think I can probably get this spot pretty quick. Okay, so yeah, I'm Ron. For those of you I don't know, originally from southern Georgia, a little town by the name of Tipton. If you know where that is, about halfway between here and Atlanta. I did go to high school here in Jacksonville. I went to Bowles, and from there, I went to school in the Northeast at Princeton University, got a degree in economics. Believe it or not, one Lee Mercier back there interviewed me for Princeton when I was coming out of high school. So I've known Lee for a very, very long time. So. One of my best picks. Thank you. Your check's in the mail, Lee. Let's see. From there, I got a degree in economics from Princeton, worked in New York for a couple of years, then came back here, and for the last 25 or so years, I have been in wealth management with Merrill Lynch. Doing a super job. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that. Taking care of me. So I'm part of a group at Merrill. We have 4 different equity partners in our business. We have a trainee as part of our group, and then 3 different support staff as well. So basically what we do for clients is we help people think about their financial futures and try to help them get from where they are today to where they'd like to be in the future. And that obviously involves financial planning. It also involves investment management. It also involves doing things smart from a tax perspective. So anyway, that's a little bit about what I do for my clients at Merrill Lynch. And Tom, am I 3 minutes up yet? So anyway, yes, Gary.
Football and family.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Tell us about your kids.
Sure, I should have done that. Thank you. So I have a lovely wife by the name of Kim. Kim is originally from Virginia. Used to work with Mike Era over at CSX. She now has a much tougher job chasing 3 little kids around the world. We have a 10-year-old Bryson who is very much into lacrosse. And then we have identical twins who are age 8. And they are starting to get into lacrosse. And Matthew, one of our twins, is involved in tennis. And they all are very involved with their iPads, which drives me crazy. Trying to get them outside more often. But anyway, that's a little bit more about that. But yes, sir.
So tell us about that guy that you roomed with at Bowles that played wide receiver.
Yes, my claim to fame. So I mentioned I went to Bowles, and because I'm from Georgia, I was a boarder at Bowles. And my high school roommate was some guy named Chipper Jones, who happened to play with the Atlanta Braves for years and years. And I was very fortunate a few years ago to join Chipper along with some other friends up in Cooperstown for his Hall of Fame production, which was really, really, really cool. So anyway, but Chip, I played quarterback. I was a football player at Bowles. And many people don't know Chipper, in addition to being an outstanding baseball player, was also an outstanding wide receiver. So it's pretty easy for me to make a decision. When I dropped back, I just found number 10 and tried to throw the ball. So anyway, any other questions? Yes, sir.
You forgot 2 things. One, you also have Charlene.
That's right.
Yeah. And secondly, you were Corky Rogers' first quarterback, right?
That is
when
correct.
He came to Bowles?
Yes. So my junior year, I played at Bowles for Bill Ward was our coach at that time. But my senior year, Corky came over from what was then Lee High School, and believe it or not, we only had 7 seniors. Corky. He ramped up the conditioning and the practices such that a lot of kids didn't stick it out. So we only had 7 seniors my senior year, and unfortunately, we did not. I was not part of one of those teams that won a state title with Corky as a coach. They had to wait until after I graduated the next year to do that. But we did make it to the playoffs, and we actually we lost our first game, and then we didn't lose again until the playoffs. But yeah, I was Corky's first quarterback at Bowles. So and since then he's had a couple guys that were a little bit better than me. Mac Jones playing with the Patriots now, and Riley Skinner, ACC Player of the Year.
You might also mention, for those who don't follow high school football, Corky's significance in the state of Florida.
Yeah, so Corky Rogers was longtime coach at Bowles. He is the winningest coach in the state of Florida history. One of the winningest coaches in national history. Passed away about 2 years ago, but just a spectacular guy to have played for, and just an incredible person as well. So I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to play for Corky and to know him personally. Special person. Anything else? Yeah.
surprising?
That's okay.
You rose to the occasion.
Thank you.
Let's see, Lisa Marie, you have 2 announcements for us today.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure. I just want to remind everybody, we have a social plan this Thursday at Blue Bamboo. I know Dennis has told Tom that he has something spectacular planned for us. So we've got some great RSVPs. If you haven't, please do so or just come. So that's Blue Bamboo, San Jose Boulevard from 5:30 to 7 on Thursday. And then I also want to remind everybody to make sure that they RSVP for our holiday event next week on the 21st at past President Robert Harris's house. He and his beautiful wife, Paolo, have decided to host us again against their better judgment. And anyway, thank you, very gracious for them to open up their home. Please RSVP for that too, so they can plan ahead. So, thank you.
Watch the court.
Can I just
Well,
mention one thing?
Yes, yes.
If you can, when you come to the house, when you come through the gate and stuff, when you come towards the house, just park on the same side as the house. People have a tendency sometimes to park on both sides, and the neighbors have a tendency to want to tow cars. So just as much as you can, just on the same side as the house, which is as you're coming in. And feel free to bring whoever you want. Just sort of let us know a few days in advance. So I think the RSVPs are going to Patty. I knew that. I was just double checking to make sure y'all. But feel free to bring children, parents, whoever you want. Just let us know how many you would. Thanks.
Thank you. Bill Langley has a membership committee update for us as well.
Just President Richard, real quick while he's transitioning, I just want to make sure everybody remembers we're still raising money, accepting charitable gifts, so an unwrapped toy for when you come would be wonderful. We
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you, President Richard. Just from the membership committee, from our club assembly that we have, we told you we'd give you guys a quarterly update on how we're doing. There's 9 of us on our committee, and I just want to give you an update, as our goal this year, or for the next 5 years, is to have 125 members by the year 2025. So we started that process, and the way we did it, it's a 3-legged approach. We have our community member engagement opportunities. We have our former members, and then we also have from you guys a current member engagement that we're looking at. The community member involvement, that the subcommittee is working on that. They're developing a list and working that list of community leaders, and then working backwards to find a connection to somebody in our club. And then we're going to reach out to them and ask them to come to a club meeting or be a presenter at one of our upcoming meetings in the near future. So they're well on their way of doing that. Secondly, we have our alumni or former member outreach. And we've worked up a list of approximately 250 former Rotarians and persons that applied to the club. And we're now reaching out to them, finding out what's going on with their life, what's happening, inviting them to a club meeting, and we're also adding them to the distribution for our weekly gear so that they know the happenings of our club and what's going on. Thirdly is our club engagement, and that's all you guys. Our goal is 100% engagement from each one of you, and I will tell you, you're doing a spectacular job so far. We've had a lot of guests coming each week. So we're currently working on a list of about 14 prospects at this time that we're engaging in the club and talking to them. But we also want you to be alert, during the club meetings, not just staying away. Just if you notice somebody who hadn't been here in a while, reach out to them and just say, hey, what's going on? I haven't seen you the last few meetings. Just to sort of say hello. We try to do the same thing too, but it's nice. We can't catch everybody, but if you can do that, we definitely appreciate it. Let's see. And then, when you bring a guest, make sure you pass along their name to us, to me or somebody on the membership committee, because what we'd like to do is follow up with them or put them on at least our distribution list so they see what's going on in the club. And not just, the weekly club meetings, but we're also trying to set up a social event or a service project each month. Because a lot of people can find out it's easier to get them out on a Saturday or something in the evening when we do a food service project, or go, even go work in somebody's yard. It's just a whole lot easier, a lot less informal process. So do that, but each one of you is our keys to success. We need each one of you to be engaged in doing this. But you know, the most important thing we do in Rotary is have fun. So if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. Okay? So thank you very much. And I will turn it back over to President Richard.
Thank you for your excellent and ongoing work. I am looking down my list of announcements, which has pretty much been taken care of. Oh, okay. Before the 50-50 drawing, I'd just like to say, if you wish to support Rotary efforts to aid those affected by the tornadoes in Kentucky and surrounding states, please look for the article on DACDD titled, oh good heavens, D6970 York Foundation, December 2021 Kentucky Tornado Disaster Relief and Recovery. If you get that far, you'll certainly know that you're there. There is information about pending short and long-term needs assessments, people that they are gathering that can do the initial work, and how and where to send a donation if you would like to respond in that way. And now the 50-50 drawing with Lori Whitmer.
So I didn't get a chance to count the money, but I'm sure we're over 600 that we split. We're raising money for the district grant for Daniel's kids. And just so you know, we're going to do a fundraiser in January. The date is still to be determined, but we're going to do Alhambra. It won't be mandatory to purchase tickets, but we're going to shoot to sell about 150 tickets. So more to come on that. Here we go. 556-219. All right, Eddie.
I didn't win. I'm going home.
All right.
Wow. So Eddie Thursday night.
Go buy a lottery ticket.
Oh, I guess in case you really didn't notice, Eddie won. He drew the ace of spades. So we're splitting the deck.
Good.
So now we start all over, Lori?
Okay, so Lori said now we will split the deck and start over. I almost said our work is done here, but it's not. And for your edification, an update from the oratory committee.
Just want to let you know that we are closer to getting our 20 student participants. We got 2 or 3 applications in, and the end of this week is the deadline, but we're just like 1 or 2 away, and we have verbal commitments. On a sponsorship front, we need about $10,000 additional sponsorship monies. I'll be sending out table sponsorship forms to all of the members. I encourage you to consider doing a $1,000 sponsorship, and you can partner up with other members in the club possibly and do a sponsorship, or other friends. And Eddie, gonna count you in for something. Thank you.
And now a test of our Zoom capabilities. We welcome Michael Shuey, maybe, if everything's working correctly, we know Mike is, to introduce visitors and guests.
Everybody hear me?
Nope.
That's what we're not getting.
Hear me? No?
Change.
Go ahead.
Okay. Mike, let me go ahead and with apologies to you and our thanks for volunteering today. Let's see. I believe that Charlie Cofer has brought a guest.
And where Danny went, I think Danny.
She ran away.
Y'all met Danny, she's back, that's not her.
Thank goodness.
Anyway, hope you all enjoy her company here today. She'll be back.
Rowan.
So I brought Juliana Favali. She is a first-year lawyer at Marcus Gray, and her grandfather was a Rotarian, and so she's looking for a Rotary home. So please welcome.
Leslie Brad.
Like to introduce you to my son, Raphael. Raphael is a 10th grader at District K.
Any others? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Jason Burnett. You've probably seen me on Zoom or not over the last few months. Happy to be here in person. Very happy to introduce Michael, who's an appraiser with the Moody Williams Appraisal Group, and also Ron Moody is with us also. And I would love to take credit. Michael's interested in learning more about Rotary, and I'd like to take credit for bringing him, but Ron Moody actually called me and said, Jason, I've got a guy that you need to meet that's interested in Rotary. So I'll give credit where credit's due. So thank you. That's a Christmas present to me for membership, and welcome, Michael.
Once again, anyone else? Very good. Now, Mike and I will lead you in the Rotary song.
We here in Rotary welcome you today. So glad you came along, glad you came our way. Our hand of fellowship is yours, sunshine or in rain. We here in Rotary say welcome, come again.
And to introduce our program and esteemed guest today, Lori Whitman.
How you doing,
Our special guest today, she is president of a nonprofit organization, World Water Alliance of Florida. She's been involved with international water projects for over 15 years. Our club has been involved with this organization for over a decade, at least to my knowledge, maybe longer, with doing water projects with them. She's here today to talk about the project that's currently underway in Honduras that we are going to be supporting and doing fundraisers next quarter to help raise money for that project. And I would like to welcome Heather Cavanagh.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm going to warn you in advance for an engineer, I'm technologically challenged sometimes. So I'm going to give y'all a little bit of background. I know I haven't been here in a couple of years, and there was that whole COVID thing, and but we've had a project ongoing in El Tablan, Honduras for a couple of years. But I'm also going to give you some background of how we World Water Alliance of Florida. Am I supposed to be in this part like that? Oh, that's not part of the thing. Just give you a little background in the relationship that that this organization has had with Rotary. Yeah, are you gonna hit the button?
No, get you out of place.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. See, that's happening.
So, Chris.
Yeah. Okay. So a little bit of background on World Water Alliance of Florida. I'm an engineer, and in the engineering community, there were some national organizations, AWWA, American Water Works Association, that had a charitable arm, Water for People, that was doing international projects and international water projects. And I got interested in, started, volunteering. And then Scott Kelly, some of you might know, he was an executive at JEA. He was involved, and then we would organize some fundraisers to help Water for People. And then eventually just found that we wanted to do some of our own projects. And so we created World Water Alliance of Florida. And a couple of the key things were having partners. So again, there's a bunch of engineers, and we're not the most social group, or so I've been told. And so we always want to partner and get different groups. A lot of times, sometimes we're international partners. And so we created this nonprofit in 2010. We have the official federal 501c3 status. And so currently our officers are myself as president. Scott Kelly is now officer at large, Ashley Evans, and Ann Whitmer, who came here a couple years ago at the beginning of one of the projects. And she's a professor at the University of Illinois. And she teaches a class that is specific to for engineers designing water projects. And she has been being involved in these projects for a decade or so. And I met her in Honduras on a project about 10 years ago. And so she is active and one of our partners. So just some of the many partners that we've worked with, obviously University of Illinois, the students are providing now a lot of the design. We have in the past, the Engineer Without Borders. It was a UNF branch that we did a project with. Obviously Rotary, Water for People was the AWWA, and then Florida Rural Water Association, Peace Corps we've had some joint projects with, and key is a partner in your country where you're having your project. You've got to have somebody that you trust, that you work with, or things may not go well, or certainly not go as well as you'd like. So ADEC is one of those groups. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, great. Just a little bit more about so what our nonprofit has done, World Water Alliance of Florida. And our goal is to improve safe water supply, sanitation, health and hygiene in low-income communities in developing countries. And we, like, some of our projects have been putting water fountains. When I say water fountains, I mean hand washing fountains in schools. So a lot of these communities are in particularly Honduras and Guatemala, where we've done projects, and sanitation is not like really a thing. So like, I'll talk a little bit about the water projects themselves. So each home, or maybe almost each home, or half to all the homes have a water pipe comes to their house. And they have a big sink in their front yard. It's called a pila. And the water goes into the sink. And that is it. There's no shower. There's no, they have an outhouse, but the kids don't really take baths, and they're not used to washing their hands all the time. And some of their little skin gets all kind of cakey. But so we put in some of the schools, in addition to the water piping, is working with the Peace Corps, put in hand washing stations and brush your teeth stations. So that's some of the places where we have projects. El Rosario in Guatemala, we did a couple of projects in Guatemala. Las Caceres in Honduras, Najatorique in Honduras was with Engineers Without Borders. And then with this Rotary, Cerro Verde and El Tablón. And Cerro Verde is complete, and El Tablón we're still working on, and so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So you can go on to the next one. All right. So here's a little history of World Water Alliance of Florida working with this Rotary. So some of y'all might remember James Chancellor. He was the COO of JEA. And so he and Scott coordinated on a lot of these things. And he was a Rotary member here. And he help get funding from Rotary International on some of these larger projects. And that can be a bit of a challenge, but I think Lori's thinking about looking into that again in terms of getting grant money. And then he moved. Patrick Victor here for a while was helping with the water projects, and he really was instrumental in the Cerro Verde project. And then Greg Anderson started into it, and then, you know, COVID, and now, of course, Lori is taking the helm and coordinating with us. So the projects that we've done specifically, Cerro Verde in Honduras, which is complete, it had 3 phases and went from 2017 to 2019. And then, so El Tablon, we have completed phase 1, and I'm going to be talking more about that project. And then now we're in phase 2. Okay, so this has been a while, but and a lot of y'all might not have even heard at the time, because I'm not sure we come a lot of times afterwards and say, hey, this is what we did. But Cerro Verde project had a budget of $15,000, and Rotary supplied $10,000, and World Water Alliance of Florida supplied $5,000. And so there's a new storage tank. You can see it there, the blue tank, a stream catchment. So in these communities, they're catching basically the rainwater, the mountain water from a stream, usually put in a storage tank and then distributing it throughout the town of little pipes, distribution piping. So the design is by the students at University of Illinois, which is great. They're very good. The design was completed in May of 2017. There's about 150 residents in this little town. And it was completed in October 2019. So one of the things that Ann does, has been doing, which has been great, and which obviously has been halted or temporarily halted, is take students down to the site. Also, we take trips to visit the site with, you know, Rotary members, whoever wants to go. She'll take 40 students, and they'll all stay in the people's houses and sleep on the floor, essentially. And they'll work. And I've been on some projects where we work, but I tell you the truth. So a lot of these places are high elevations. These are kind of up in the mountains. And I have a hard enough time just walking up the stairs. And people who live there, I mean, not only do they not have a problem with the altitude, but they're have an agricultural lifestyle. They work the fields. So all the installation is done by the people in the town. So we're not paying for any of that. We're just paying for the materials and for one person to manage the project, and maybe occasionally a specialist of some sort. But the town really does the work, and what we provide are the designs and you know, and the materials. So okay, so El Tablon. So again, another design by the University of Illinois students. In this particular case, there's 2 towns. It's mainly El Tablon, but also Llano Largo. And there's about 550 people in these 2 towns that are affected. So what they have there is an old cracked box, the spring box is catching the water. And so that needs to be redone. The town has actually, I think, put in some of their own money to try to, I think, build a larger catchment there. Then you've got so here's the spring over here, the source, and you've got to pipe the water to over to this distribution tank. Okay, so that piping needs to be done. And then you got to take from that tank, that's a storage tank, where there'll also be some chlorination, and pipe it out to the town. So all that needs to be redone. That's 3,700 feet of piping that is dug by hand, by them. That's like, you know, 3/4 of a mile. I mean, that's, they work hard. And now a lot of this has been done. So or some of it's been done. So we can go to the next slide. So construction. So we had, I haven't done this far. Okay, so we had the construction. We had been raising funds before then, but in March 2020, our local contact, and the guy that has the project, so local is Yursen. And he's really instrumental in keeping all this going. So phase one, so we started March 2020. I don't know if y'all remember what happened about that time, but it hit the fan, you know, and not only that, I'll tell you more about it. We just have hit a lot of roadblocks. But that was the piping going from the spring to the tank, the distribution tank. That phase one, it has actually been completed, and now, and actually we have, so phase two is getting started. We've gone ahead and for the funding that World Water Alliance supported, we've given them some money to get the materials. So, and these are actual pictures of the installation. One of these slides I mentioned where I don't know if it's supposed to be one of Ian's students was actually down there and got these pictures because he's from there, and he had to do the whole 2 week. I think it was in January of this year. He had to do 2 weeks of a quarantine. So he was down for 3 weeks. Able to get some pictures. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Oh yeah, see here, I got it here. So, and I guess what I'd like to emphasize about doing these projects, in addition to the partnerships with the local partners, is that the project needs to be sustainable. I can't tell you how many facilities I saw going down, visiting sites, and there would be these tanks that someone would come down and build, and just sit there and never be used. And in order for a project to really benefit the community, you really need the community buy-in. And in some cases, we actually would install water meters, and they would bill like $1 a year or something to their, to all the community members. But one of the things is, so you really have to have buy-in with the community. You have to have someone maintain the system, and they actually will require a lot of times. They will require participation and labor from people in town. I mean, it's theirs, right? But that's really important to make all this effort worthwhile, so that it's going to benefit them and it's going to last. So yeah, so Ann's student got these pictures of that first phase, which was this January. So they were completing that, up through this spring. Okay, next slide. Yeah. Okay, so besides COVID, so they had a tropical storm last spring, which probably was really a hurricane at one point, or maybe there was another hurricane. I don't know. It's like everything. They had a tropical storm, so COVID just stopped the materials at the border, like stacked up. They were waiting for weeks. I actually kind of had a hard time transferring the money because there are all these other new rules about that. A lot of people got COVID in the town. Some of the people died. Prices are going up, so our budget has gone up. And then, I was talking to you about the community and how they were really behind the project, and even decided to put in some of their own funds. And then a couple of months ago, got stabbed by a guy in the town for some beef, and he was killed. I mean, just one thing after another and stuff. But we're still going. But what we originally thought was just going to be a project turned into, for 1 year, a 2-phase, at least 2-year project. So it's all right. We're in phase 2 now. Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What's the young man? Is he crawling down into a collection basin?
Yeah. No, that's the catchment for the spring.
Okay.
So it's the first, really kind of like a distribution. I mean, it's not storage. It's just sort of catching.
That's not for a claustrophobic individual.
No, no. but you can go visit it if you want. So, all right, so here we are, we're starting the second phase. Like I said, we sent them some seed money already. The budget was originally like $8,000 to $10,000, and then a little more, and a little more, and now it's $13,325. Phase one was a total of $5,000, and that was funded by $3,000 from you guys. Thank you very much. And $2,000 from World Water Alliance of Florida. And phase two is, well, it was $7,500, and now it's a little more because of the pipe. Well, they actually added a little bit more pipe. And so that was another $825. So phase two is $8,325. And we are able to fund $4,325, which leaves $4,000. So our goal is to raise that from Rotary by March 1st. So next slide. So in case you didn't hear, our goal from Rotary is $4,000 by March 1st. And I know this time of year, you get a lot of people with their hands out. This is just how the timing landed. So I have to ask, we don't ask, and we're not gonna get it. But and obviously we have to, we separately fundraise for the nonprofit through various small efforts. And so that's the ask. And I appreciate you coming here. Yes.
You mentioned choosing projects. I know Rotary in Haiti is trying to establish a model that will allow us to go in and sustainably put in water systems and have them stay, because the comment about Haiti was, just like you said, so many wells all over the place, but some of them maybe have bacteria in them now, some of them are totally not functioning. And because the way they were built, the locals didn't have any responsibility for them. So they worked until they stopped, and then we need to wait until somebody brings us another one. How do you choose, and how do you keep them sustainable?
So it's really relationships over many years. So I mentioned ADEC, and that was a group that had been established. There was an American that was living there who established a relationship with this this operation that was funded by International Rotary a lot of the time, and World Water Florida for part of the time. And that entity would build projects, and they would also they hired what's called circuit riders. So they would get funding for circuit riders, and the circuit riders are the guy that drives around to all the towns and keeps these systems going. So you have to have that funding. Now, this project is not, it's some of the same people with ADAC, but it's not the group. For whatever reason, they've kind of split off, but it's the same people that we've been working with for, probably 10, 15 years. And it's just a very small, narrow, I mean, we're not trying to do the whole country. Haiti is would be a great place to try to make an effort, but I would want to start very, very small. And you have to have your local mayor, your local community. If you just fly in, drop this stuff and leave, it doesn't work. I mean, we've seen it, and you get a lot of volunteers, you get a lot of kids, and everybody wants to do something good. But if you haven't seen the failures and kind of be on the lookout, there's a lot of pitfalls that, they don't work well. So that's what we would look for, to be an entity that's established, or a person who has some commitment, that's local, that lives there. And so that's why we just have this, these couple little communities in Honduras that we can work with. And before it was Guatemala, we did the same thing. And now we found, this other group. So, okay, next slide. So we obviously want to complete the El Tablon project. We have another project in the hopper, also in Honduras, Clarinero. love to get back to having some site visits, and I just, in the spring, so before the rainy season. So the deal is like half the year, they really can't work in the field much, like June through October, November-ish, because it's the rainy season. So a lot of the work is done the winter and the spring. And I will let y'all know, I will let Lori know if we think as it gets closer, we're able to have a site visit. There's so much, COVID protocols and all that kind of stuff that until now it hasn't really been practical, but, would love to get down there for people that see the project and also possibly scope out the next one. It just really, I mean, it's not a shocking change, but it's eye-opening for sure. And you see it, you get it. I mean, we just have a lot of expertise that they just don't have access to. So anyways, possibly next project also will be designed by the Illinois students. I think it's either underway or completed. I believe it's a little bit larger project. Haven't updated the cost estimate, $25,000 might be a little more now. And that might be a good International Rotary candidate. So it's another one of the projects. That was Sarah Verde, that picture. Okay, next slide. And that's the end of my presentation. And I would love to answer any questions or you guys might have.
So if you have people from this club going for site visit, are they going to be sleeping on the floor?
Oh, yeah. No. We would have, stay in a little town, and we have a driver, who knows what they're doing, where they're going. And typically there's a lot of driving and, mountainous clay windy roads. So that's the biggest part of kind of getting around. We don't stay in a big city, we'll stay in a little town and then drive out to the site and drive back to the little town. But unless you really want to.
Is there electricity available? No electricity available.
It's limited. It's limited. Definitely wells are not as common in this particular area for the communities, mostly the springs. There are some wells. Most homes don't have electricity. A lot of them have cell phones though, which I found very interesting after hiking like 2 hours up in the mountains and seeing this little hut and cell phone in the window. And there's no windows or doors, but they have a cell phone. And what they do is the town will have a car battery and then people will charge their phones on that. I know it's great.
Yeah. Gotta have a cell phone.
Yeah, I mean, there's usually electricity in the town. Maybe a couple houses will have electricity, but most of them don't have electricity. It's agrarian. They have their own chickens and their own cornfield. Everybody's got like a cornfield, and they work in the fields. They also have the industry of coffee, and there's a lot of industry there as well. So, but mostly agrarian, at least the areas where we're going. I mean, there's cities with McDonald's and all that, but which is also a strange contrast.
You were talking about the pipes being stopped at the border. Is PVC or piping just not available in Honduras, or what's the story?
Well, yeah, they certainly, to my knowledge, don't make it there. I don't know what the supply chain is. It was just everything just got stopped. There was a glut, and then they gradually started kind of getting back into it. And that was just like COVID protocol, people being out, everything just kind of getting messed up. But that is back on track as far as
Okay. So from a safety standpoint,
yes,
we hear a lot about missionaries from Haiti, about people running away from the gangs.
Yeah.
Would Crystal be lying on the floor of one of the gang place or what?
Yeah. No, okay, so it is very important. So most but not all of the really, the bad stuff is happening in the couple of big cities. That's where all your violence and all that stuff happens. That's not to say it doesn't happen out in the rural areas. Of course, we're not near the El Salvador. We're probably not a place, you know, we would have a project. There is trafficking out in the rural areas. But this is why we'll have a trusted driver and trusted, you know, local hotel, a small city. We don't stay in the big cities. So we kind of got that planned out, you know, is there a guarantee 100% of anywhere? I mean, no, but we have all that figured out because, yeah, I mean, it's a concern for sure. Yeah.
Heather, thank you for your presentation today. In addition to the other things that we can do in response to your presentation and your project, we have also made a donation to the Rotary Foundation in your name for the eradication of polio. Another way of saying thank you. Okay. Our reminder social on Thursday evening, Blue Bamboo. Next week, we will be at past President Robert Harris's home for our annual holiday luncheon. For the luncheon, bring an unwrapped toy. For Blue Bamboo, bring an unwrapped guest. I want people to show up. Okay. As we end our meeting, please join me in the Rotary motto, one profits most who serves best. Each one bring one.
Robert, I'll be there. Good.